After his sensational debut at last September's Till vs. Brunson Fight Night, Paddy Pimblett's ready to throw down once more. The Scouser breezed past Luigi Vendramini in the first round, knocking him out in the process. Pimblett has recently revealed he's ready to go again, and the rumor mill has been abound with potential names. Today, we are discussing his UFC return and who he might be fighting, so stay where you are. First up, what has the rumor mill been saying? Well, there have been a few names thrown around recently, but one that keeps coming up more often than most is that of Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Pimblett's likely to return on the UFC London card later this year, but so far he has no opponent. Pimblett himself addressed the rumors of the Cerrone bout and poured hot water on a potential fight with the UFC's record holder for most ever wins in the promotion. He said, "It's going around everywhere, but there's no truth to it. Nothing on my end. Let us translate that for you. It's going round in Scouse, which means it's being talked about a lot." Pimblett went on to say that it would be sick to fight in front of a home crowd, and that he's been told, presumably by the UFC higher-ups, that he'll be fighting on the card, as well as fellow Scouser Molly McCann. Pimblett went on to predict that he is going to take someone's head off in the O2, which would be legitimately horrible if someone's head actually came off. He also promised that he would knock out Luigi Vendramini, so if previous predictions are anything to go by, we might well see an unfortunate head rolling around the cage by the end of the fight. Oh dear. We're just joking, of course, and we cannot wait to see Pimblett return to action and hope an opponent is announced soon. Who would you like to see him fight? What's fueling the cowboy talk then? Stay with us to find out. Ever since Pimblett knocked out Vendramini back in September, there have been no shortage of speculation regarding his next opponent, and some fighters have been quick to call out the young Liverpudlian, recognizing his star potential. The Cerrone talk has gained the most traction, however, and appeared a month or so ago after Motormouth extraordinaire Chael Sonnen revealed that Cowboy himself had told him he wanted to face Pimblett next. There's no reason for Sonnen to lie, however. He has been known to run his mouth before in a bid to stay relevant, so there's no real proof that Cerrone is actually chasing the fight one way or the other. With all that said, Cerrone needs a big win, as he has not recorded a W in his last 6 fights. His last win came almost 3 years ago over Al Iaquinta, and if he was to lose to Pimblett, or whoever he faces next, it could be the end of a truly glittering career, which has seen him beat some of the greatest names in the sport, including former champs Benson Henderson and Eddie Alvarez, current lightweight champion Charles Oliveira, as well as notables like Edson Barboza, Mike Perry, and Matt Brown. What do you think is Cowboy's most impressive win? We're going for the Matt Brown head kick from 2016. So if not Cowboy, who might Pimblett be up against in London? As we mentioned earlier, there's no shortage of takers for Pimblett, as seemingly everybody wants to be the man to give the popular fighter his first UFC loss. The London card is set to take place on March 19th, but so far, Pimblett has revealed that he hasn't heard anything as far as a potential opponent is concerned. On Michael Bisping's Believe You Me podcast, he called Sonnen's talk of the Cowboy fight clickbait before ultimately saying there was no truth to the rumors. After admitting the UFC hasn't offered him anyone yet, he did mention one name in particular, Jared Gordon. Pimblett said, "After he mentioned me, I thought me and Jared Gordon might get matched together. But as I say, I've got no idea. We'll see what happens. I haven't even had potential opponents sent over to me yet. I thought I'd have one by now." Gordon's currently 6-3 in the UFC and might pose a bit more of a problem than Vendramini caused him, but he's not really on Cerrone's level, which again would be good for Pimblett. There is no point rushing him into fights just to derail his potential early after not managing him properly. Gordon's on a 3-fight win streak right now, starting that streak with a win over Pimblett's trading partner and fellow Scouser Chris Fishgold. So is revenge in the air for the next generation team? Pimblett seems to like the idea, which we think is great. News of a title shot for one of the sport's most loved fighters next. News broke earlier today that it looks as though the next person to get a crack at Alexander Volkanovski's featherweight title will be none other than UFC veteran Chang Sung-jung, better known as the Korean Zombie. Fans of the sport from its early days will be delighted that the Zombie will once again get a crack at the title, having made his debut for the promotion more than 10 years ago. The Zombie challenged a then-dominant Jose Aldo back in August 2013, but the Brazilian was untouchable at the time and knocked Chan out in the 4th round. Volk has been set to take on Max Holloway in a trilogy fight, and when news broke that Blessed Max wouldn't make the bout, seemingly a who's who of fighters from divisions above and below the featherweight division threw their hats into the ring. Henry Cejudo was reported to have offered to return to the cage, and even lightweight king Charles Oliveira was suggested to have mentioned a super fight between the two champs. None of these options are seemingly realistic, however, and it just might be a case of right place, right time for the Korean Zombie, who has never faced Volkanovski and is obviously a top-ranked fighter. He has also won 3 of his last 4 fights and seems to be the next in line after Holloway pulled out. He definitely deserves another shot just for longevity alone. How do you guys see this one playing out? Let us know below. The heavyweight king has weighed in on Nate Diaz next. Stay with us to find out what was said. While Nate Diaz has never really been close to a UFC title, he is still one of the biggest draws in the promotion, and people still go crazy when he fights. fights. Heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou was recently asked to share his thoughts on the enigma that is Diaz, and his answer was, well, exactly what you might expect when listening to someone describe the younger Stockton brother. The Cameroonian, who takes on Cyril Gane this month in his first title defense, said, "Nate Diaz? Man, I don't know how to describe Nate Diaz. I think he's just a psychopath. He's just crazy. He doesn't give an S about anything. I love that part of him, you know? He's just there to fight, have fun. Doesn't care if he wins or if he loses. He just wants to have fun, enjoy, and nobody would tell him what to do. He does exactly what he wants to do, and that's it. Doesn't care at all." This train of thought is pretty common when describing Nate Diaz, and he is certainly one of a kind. It's good to have an original personality in the sport, as many guys just try to emulate the next, which can be pretty boring. What's your opinion of Diaz? Sean O'Malley's talking pay-per-view prices next. Stay with us. In a move which is likely to further endear himself to fans of the fight game, UFC bantamweight Sean O'Malley has had his say on the UFC's pay-per-view price structure. O'Malley has been seen as one of the more outspoken fighters on the roster, but when it comes to event pricing, someone needs to speak out, as fans are being priced out of a sport that they love. At UFC 270 later this month, fans are being asked to pay a whopping $75. If Dana White expects his hardcore fans to shell out $75 every month to watch their numbered events, he is delusional. In these uncertain times, when a lot of people are out of work or have reduced hours thanks to COVID, White's money grab is pure greed, and he can hardly complain that people are choosing to illegally stream events, not when he's asking people to pay in the neighborhood of $1,000 a year just to watch UFC. O'Malley said, "Dana White raises pay-per-view by $5. What the hell are we doing here, Dana?" Suga then went on to reference illegal streaming and said how easy it is to do, claiming that the UFC needs someone that is good enough at hacking right before the main event starts. Every single time they just shut it right before the good stuff. Expect interest to seriously wane, then Sean, as it is completely irrational to expect to pay $75 of their hard-earned dollars for a few hours of entertainment. As always, thanks for tuning in today, guys, and remember to join us next time for some more revelations. Why not do us a favor and share this video with any MMA fans you might have lurking on your socials. Bye, guys.